All right. So do it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is how we're doing it here. It feels illegal. Welcome back to another episode of Graps and Yaps. This is your go-to podcast for everything pro wrestling, where we're going to recap everything that's happened inside and outside of the ring from the last week. And whether you are a lifelong fan like us or you're just a victim of the wrestling algorithm, we thank you for being here. And this is a special, very special edition of Graps and Yaps, because for the very first time, we are in the flesh. Together.
Live.
Living
in colour.
In living color. We are here in Perth. We've just landed today. Today we have gotten in because Crown Jewel is happening this weekend. Raw and Smackdown is happening this weekend. We are stoked. I'm Phil Fresh. My guy Tony Free's here too.
Tony, Phil.
Tony!
Was new Tony there, but great to be in Perth once again. And we're right across the road from RAC Arena at the moment.
We are literally facing RAC. Actually, we're facing a ginormous John Cena poster, which I'm sure I'll chuck it in post, but pretty exciting stuff.
It's a pretty impressive arena just looking from the outside. Like it's architecturally very unique. So I'm very keen to get inside tomorrow and have a look. The roof is retractable. I'm not too sure if they're going to open the roof up for any of the events, but you know, we're on the 30th floor where we are here. You could get a good view if the roof's open for any of these. So
if the roof opens up, then I shouldn't have bought a ticket, because I could have just stayed up here and just watched it from over the.
Man, you'd be copping the fireworks from up here if those things are going off as they usually do. But good to be in Perth, and we've already done a lap around the town. We've seen people out and about. Been in the superstore, copped some merch. So exciting.
Haven't we ever? I mean, we've got one right here.
Good old the Rhea Ripley stubby holders are very popular at the moment.
And I had to make sure I had to add another one to the collection. Yeah, the Shawn Michaels Funko Pop for home. But we are running on maybe a few hours sleep, maybe 4, maybe 5 hours.
I'm
sleep.
On 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I was tired getting in here, but I think. Honestly, it was when I saw that giant John Cena at the front of our accommodation is when I was awake. I was back to life.
I think we both did the same thing as soon as we saw it. It's like instant video, straight upload to Instagram stories. And it's pretty impressive. I can't wait to get down there and actually take a photo next to it. I was just looking out the window just a minute ago and saw a few groups taking their photos next to it. So I'm sure it's going to be a popular landmark for the weekend ahead.
But man, we've got a big weekend. Obviously, we've got a Smackdown tomorrow. We've got Crown Jewel. We've got Raw. But also, we're just going to be about. I mean, there's a couple photo ops, a couple local wrestling events that are happening as well.
Yeah, shout out to my partner Flick, who's booked me in for a photo op with Maxine Dupree on Monday afternoon. So, yeah, we're very excited about that.
Have you thought about poses maybe, or just what's your mentality going in? Like, do you have a pose in mind that you want to hit? Or
look, Maxine's going to be looking incredible, so I just have to look as cool as I can. It is going to be a challenge because, she's obviously going to look how Maxine looks, which is flawless. But, Flick has a photo tomorrow with Chelsea Green, so she's nervous about that one, considering Chelsea's, consistent form.
Honestly, that's fair enough. But I feel like Flick is up to the task. I mean, luckily for you, you have until Monday, so you got time to figure out your plan of attack for that photo op. You don't want to mess it up.
Well, I'm going to scope the scene tomorrow when Flick goes in for her photo with Chelsea Green and see what I'm working with, see what lighting I've got to hit there. So maybe I can get a nice little pose in there for my photo with Maxine.
I reckon you're on for it. But look, I mean, we recorded. Did we record last week? I can't even remember.
We did. We've been doing the last few weeks.
We've been on.
We did miss a week there somewhere, but when I was sick. But we've had I think 3 or 4 weeks in a row there. So
that's right.
Yeah, first one where we've done the video form live.
Unbelievable.
Both this year. So
we actually know each other. We genuinely know each other.
Yeah, we're not just two randoms who just speak on the internet.
Not on some Discord or something like that. We actually know each other in real life.
It's true. And this will be the first episode on YouTube. So the Graps and Yaps YouTube era is now underway. And excited for that. And
we know you guys were waiting for it, man.
Well, there are people. I didn't realize how many people out there listen to podcasts, like watch podcasts on YouTube. I'm not one of those people, so I was oblivious to it before this. So
YouTube podcasts are the perfect background just noise to have on. It's not even noise. It's just something, while you do 20 other things.
Well, people that are like cooking and whatnot, they just have it on their TV.
Yeah.
So if you're cooking dinner right now, listening to this it's probably going to be out on a Friday, wherever you are. So props to you and thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
But what a week it's been so far. Like we had the long weekend for us in New South Wales last week. NRL Grand Final weekend, and we've been talking about the dirty Dom Mysterio Brisbane Broncos, and they got the job done in a thrilling grand final.
And I feel like the most Dom Mysterio in the team as well. Reece Walsh had a blinder. It was like, honestly, like I was such a hater. I did not want Queensland to win. I did not want to see Reece Walsh get up. But watching the game was literally like I had to just, you know what? That one's on me.
It's probably one of the most dominant individual performances that I've definitely seen in a grand final. Maybe most dominant individual performance in history. But good to see that we were calling this the last few weeks. The Dirty Dom, Brisbane Broncos. And just like Dirty Dom, who's got two titles around his belt, the Broncos went home with the chocolates and they've got that nice big trophy. And they won the NRLW grand final earlier in the day as well. So good time to be in Brisbane.
It's all happening for Queensland, which was, as both of us are from New South Wales. It's it's a tough pill to swallow, but yeah, you got to give credit where it's due. And mate, those guys did it. They really did well.
And now that we're in Perth, besides Raw, besides Smackdown, besides Crown Jewel, what else do we have in store for the weekend? We did touch on the store. Do you have any interviews that are going to be done during the weekend? I'm sure there's a lot of people in town that you can chat to.
We are going to be getting content galore. We've got some some little chats lined up that you'll see on our feed. Maybe you'll even see it on this YouTube page. But yeah, we're here for, it's 3 to 4 days really of wrestling events. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to chat to just the fans as well, see who's out there. Just, I'm excited. I keep looking outside because I'm like, I want to be outside. I'm sorry, you probably picked this up on the camera. I keep looking around, saying, like, where is everyone?
But it was interesting coming in this morning from Sydney on the flight. Like as soon as I arrived at the airport, all you see is just wrestling merch everywhere, title belts everywhere. There was a guy sitting across from me who had his John Cena spinner belt that he was holding in his lap for the whole 5-hour trip from Sydney. So
right.
I can just imagine how many more people are out there in the streets of Perth right now, just filled with excitement, just like we are for this weekend.
I wonder if he was concerned at all that maybe someone was going to steal it, or maybe someone was just like, was there someone on the flight that had money in the bank?
When I saw him at the gate, I was wondering, is he going to put it up in the overhead carriage? Like, should he have checked it in with his baggage that goes underneath in the aircraft, or is he just going to strap it around his shoulder or his waist for the trip? But yeah, held it in his lap the whole way through, sitting next to his girlfriend. So he's I don't know how
he's won. I reckon he's won.
I couldn't believe. I always thought those guys that carry those titles everywhere are just guys that are single. But this guy's defied the laws of nature. And
I literally said that we were going to talk to the fans. If this gets out before we do that, they're not going to want to talk to you, Tony.
Especially if they've been listening the last few weeks. So maybe there's a few guys out there who will just brush me as soon as they see me, if they know who we are.
Yeah, I'm not too what kind of angle you're going for here, but this seems detrimental. Look,
it is wrestling. You do need your heels and your faces to make a compelling story. So I'm just playing my part out there for the good people.
That's it. Well, we should recap the week, but also, again, Crown Jewel is happening in 2 days' time. So we are going to get into the recap. Plus, give you our tips. So let's get into it, starting with this tag match that's happening 23.
Yeah, we've got Asuka and Kairi Sane against the formidable duo of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. We know what kind of reception that Rhea's going to get in Perth, Australia, as she did last year when she main evented Elimination Chamber and retained her world championship. This year, Rhea doesn't have a title, not competing for a championship here at Crown Jewel, but this story has built up really well the last few weeks. The way the Kabuki Warriors have been involved, the turn on Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, I guess standing up for Io in all of this has been really compelling the last few weeks. And I'm really excited for this match because this could be a potential match of the night.
Absolutely. And I mean, if this starts the show tomorrow too, I mean, imagine just like that, the bar that's been set from the jump, because the excitement's already like we were just out on the street and, there's a bit of a buzz going on. So yeah, if it starts with Rhea Ripley's music, it's going to be, hard to beat. But I was just thinking, what this pairing of Io and Rhea reminds me of? It reminds me of it's like when LeBron James decided to take his talents to South Beach. This is Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, two of the best, the big two in their first tag match together. I don't know. I'm just excited. It's going to be a good match.
100%. And, like this week on Raw, we had Kyrie defeating Io Sky, but even like backstage, there was an interaction there between Kyrie and Asuka, and Asuka just slapped the shit out of Kyrie, and she's really bullying her at the moment, and manipulating her, making Kyrie do these things that she really doesn't want to do. So that's interesting to see how that's going to play out at Crown Jewel. Like, will Kyrie, I guess, still obey Asuka's commands? Is that going to have some sort of effect on the result? Because I feel like at some stage, the Kabuki Warriors are going to go down that path where they split up and have a feud, because, the way that Asuka's been at the moment, who would want to be her friend, honestly?
Well, to make another basketball comparison, it's the pairing of Asuka and Kairi Sane. It's almost Draymond Green, Jordan Poole adjacent. When Draymond Green swung on Jordan Poole in training, and then Jordan Poole just had to sit there and cough it. It's kind of a similar situation what's going on between Asuka and Kairi Sane. And Kairi and Io had a match on Raw, and it's probably the first time that they've actually, because again, like Kairi's been a kind of reluctant, a bit hesitant to do the stuff, fight Io. But this was like the first time it was like official, and there was like a match, and first time we'd seen Io actually fight back, because she didn't really want to, right? Obviously, that ended in a particular way with Kairi taking the win, but. Yeah, I mean, Asuka's just... I feel like I made this comparison maybe a few weeks ago. Like, tribal chief adjacent, and that's what it is. This is right hand man and the tribal chief. So I'm with it, and I hope this goes for time as well.
Well, speaking of Kyrie and her getting the win, ever since she returned earlier this year, she's had some big scalps. She's won some big matches. Like, she beat Liv Morgan, albeit that was where Liv Morgan copped that injury of the shoulder. But even leading up to that, Kyrie had strung, I think, 2 or 3 wins before that against some big competitors. I can't remember who she was defeating at the time, but Kyrie's been, winning matches lately. So it's good to see that she's, finally getting up there a little bit more. And I think she's probably won more matches than Asuka's won since Asuka's return. Really? So it's interesting when we think about the relationship between those two at the moment, because you could argue that Kyrie is maybe the one that's carrying the Kabuki Warriors right now.
Yeah, you're right there. She also definitely has the best elbow drop in the game. Maybe, arguably of all time, it's up there. But let's get into a tip. Let's get into a prediction. How do you see this match ending?
I feel like this is one-way traffic, and this is an easy one to predict. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to get the win here in Perth, Australia. If this is opening the show at Crown Jewel, this is a perfect way to start with these two getting the win. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm just wondering now. I'm wondering, just being devil's advocate, wondering if there's an argument to be made whether, how do Asuka and Kairi Sane win? Like, what's the, how does it play out? Is it clean? Is it dirty? Obviously, we both decided that it's going the other way. But if it were to go Kairi and Asuka's way, how would you play that out, do you reckon?
Well, I guess speculating on that, we've spoken about the rivalry between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley this year, and the fact that Rhea Ripley hasn't been able to beat Io Sky, but they've had this relationship built on a lot of respect, despite their compelling rivalry that they've had. So if it were to break down, that might be one of the triggers for that. Is maybe Rhea does have this deep-seated
True.
Jealousy of Io, I guess. Maybe you can call it that, but we haven't seen that really play out the last few weeks, so it's hard to say that would be the reason, if it was going to happen this weekend. So, but as we know, anything's possible in the WWE, and things just happen left field out of nowhere. Which there'll be a few topics today which we'll speak about where that's happened. So, but yeah, I just feel like the most predictable result for this one is Io Sky, and
we're in Australia.
Exactly,
it's happening. Let's get into. I mean, speaking of Australian and matches, another match got made on Raw this week involving the OTC, Roman Reigns, and the Tribal Thief, Bronson Reed. We're getting an Australian street fight.
What is an Australian street fight?
That's what I was about to ask you, because I'm like, what needs to be involved in this match to make it an Australian street fight?
And the thing about that as well, like, it would depend a lot. Depending on where you are in Australia, a street fight could be very different to, like, what it would be in other places of Australia. If it was in Western Sydney, geez, it could get very violent.
If they really want to make it an Australian street fight, they would have to go in and set up some pokey machines on this outside of the ring. If they really want to make it, that's what I'm saying. You might as well just commit to the bit. But obviously they won't do that. I don't know. Do we get like a cricket bat? I'm assuming.
I thought cricket bat.
Yeah.
And like there was a time I remember the first time that I saw Grayson Waller live in the flesh. When he was Matty Wahlberg, he was wrestling in Wollongong against, I'm pretty sure it was against a guy whose gimmick was being an Australian test cricketer. And he carried a cricket back to the ring. And as soon as they announced this Australian street fight, I just had a flashback to this moment. So yeah, all the OG Matty Wahlberg fans out there, which there weren't many of because he was a really good heel back then, made himself really easy to hate. But yeah, I just, cricket bats was the first thing that I thought of. I just can't think of what else
there would be besides that. Like I was thinking other sports. Like, is there going to be like a Sharon, like a footy ball there? But also, like, how do you even use that as a weapon? Like, I don't even know what else.
Do they pull out a thong and?
Yeah, I'm thinking a thong,
like one of those really bad ones, maybe like with the Australian flag on them.
There might be an esky there.
An esky lid.
Yeah, maybe
could be used as a weapon.
I reckon we could do that. It's good that we're getting all this down now, just so when it happens. We have the proof.
We called it.
Okay. So that match got made official by Paul Heyman. They had a bit of back and forth. But outside of that, there was actually... I feel like there was more build towards what was happening with Roman and the Usos in the background of it all, Tony.
But like we've been saying this the last few weeks, they're weaving all of these stories together so well. And, there's so many... Like, it's like, as you just said, it's not just... Roman and Bronson, like we've got the Vision, we've got the Usos, like there's so much happening.
CM Punk's LA
that's
Knight.
The thing. And then around all of this, we got CM Punk, LA Knight.
That's right.
And then, if you extend this over to SmackDown, the Vision's been, they've had matches now with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. So like there's so many people that are just, getting woven into all of this with a storyline. So that's interesting. But yeah, the Roman and the Usos of it all, I still don't know where I think I know where it's going, but I don't know for sure. And that's probably the best thing about it at the moment is that we're kind of, on our toes and edge of our seats for this.
We're in the 6th inning. Like, it's still going. Like, and they're still bringing things from the past, from, back when it was the OG Bloodline days. But now we're seeing a little bit more, like, a bit more aggression from Jay, a bit more hesitant from Jimmy and Roman, kind of sliding back into that tribal chief, like that original tribal chief, back during COVID, like ways. Like we're seeing like a lot of similarities there, but it's like different settings now. And man, I wonder, and obviously it bled into the other stuff with like CM Punk and and LA Knight, where CM Punk and LA Knight were having a bit of back and forth. CM Punk actually kind of roasted LA Knight on the mic during that segment, which was, I honestly had it on and I was kind of like, I got like secondhand embarrassment.
Well, I feel like LA Knight was sort of like, tip of the hat. Like some of those one-liners that CM Punk delivered.
You should have just got out of there, LA Knight. You did not have to come out for that. And then getting, Jay involved as well. And yeah, it's all going down, but I'm sure it's going to eventuate into something, probably the next one after this is Survivor Series.
I think so, yeah.
So we're probably going to get something there, maybe some sort of War Games, but let's focus on what we got this weekend. Let's get into a tip. Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed. This one has been tough. We spoke about it before. It's going to be tough to see who we cheer and who we boo in this match. But I'm confident that the Auszilla, Big Bronson Reed, the Tribal Thief, gets his dub against Roman Reigns here.
So am I. I think it's a big. I think it's a big weekend for Aussies, and with Rhea getting the win in the tag match, I feel like this sets a tone for Bronson getting the win as well in Australia. But speaking of, so Crown Jewel last year, Bronson Reed had a match with Seth Rollins. This year's Crown Jewel has a match with Roman Reigns. So
next year's Crown Jewel, John Moxley. Is that what you're saying? Tony Freeman here?
It could be that, but now he's taken on, one half of the WrestleMania 40 headliners. Could he have Cody Rhodes or The Rock next year at Crown Jewel?
That would be kind of insane if it was The Rock. Even if it was Cody Rhodes, that would be crazy, huge growth. But man, I wonder, do you reckon the Usos are going to, there's going to be some sort of interference here? Is there going to be a play here where maybe we get more development in that bloodline story?
I think so. The way it's played out, Jimmy and Jay don't have a match on Crown Jewel, but I just can't see this show happening, without some sort of appearance from at least one of them. So, and, as we said, the way things have been the last few weeks with the Usos feuding with, the Vision and everybody else, I feel like we'd have to see them at some stage. But yeah, I feel like the result will be Bronson Reed winning here. And I feel like maybe, and it's happened before, maybe Bronson Reed hits 5 tsunamis on Roman Reigns and we don't see Roman for another 3 months and he reappears at Royal Rumble.
Run it back, he said.
It's the rinse and repeat with Roman at the moment. That's the recipe for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, it could be that. We'll wait and see. This next match, we just, from one storyline that had a whole ton of storyline to one that doesn't really have much. But probably the one match that I'm excited to watch the most, it's AJ Styles versus John Cena. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is, as we said, this will be the last time you'll see these two guys in a ring together. And, AJ Styles has already said that he's retiring soon as well. So I think he said less than 12 months is left for AJ Styles. So this might be the last marquee match for AJ. So I think this will be a classic. If we're going by, John Cena's recent form, since he's gone back to being a babyface, John's been putting on massive matches and absolute clinics. He can wrestle.
I have no hesitations that this will be the next one in that installment. It'll just be that same bar that he set with Logan, with Cody. Even maybe not the Brock one, but there was a standard bit before that.
But you were saying how there hasn't been much storyline build for this, and that's been disappointing because there is so much history there. And, they kind of touched on it in some of the video packages they've played leading up to this, but I would have liked if they told this story a little bit more on television because we've had AJ, teaming with Dragon Lee the last few weeks against the Judgment Day. How does this even tie into what AJ Styles is doing leading up to a match with John Cena? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So then when I'm thinking, afterwards, after John Cena, what is AJ Styles going to do? Is he still, wrapped up in all of this, rivalry with the Judgment Day? I feel like maybe Finn Balor's another opponent for AJ Styles after this. There was a little moment on Raw there between the two. But yeah, it's been disappointing the way they've built up to this match. It's been, I guess, seemingly just all off one tweet is what made this match official. So, I really wish they would have built this up a lot more, especially now that John Cena has, less than 5 appearances left in the WWE?
Yeah, I think it's new, it's a match that, we're so used to, being there's weeks of storyline and weeks of build up. This one, obviously, like you said, it hasn't. But I think AJ said it best. It was like, they don't need to tell the story. It's just two of the best doing it for the love of the game. And I'm going to get into my prediction here because I've been tossing and turning in this one because I don't know how I want this to end. Me being selfish, me being there in the crowd, I want to see John Cena win. I want to hear that music and see his hand get raised. But the wrestling podcaster in me is saying John Cena's not winning until his last match. So I'm going with AJ Styles.
Well, the thing with that as well is they reminded us this week on Raw, John Cena is still sitting on 99 PLE wins. So if he does win a Crown Jewel, that will be win number 100. So will they keep teasing this until the end of the year? I don't think Saturday night's main event would count as a PLE. I don't think that's classified as one of those. So it's technically either going to be here at Crown Jewel or at Survivor Series for win 100.
What do you reckon? How do you reckon this one's going to pan out?
I feel like John Cena wins, and he kind of has to, especially now that we're down to potentially third last match, maybe even second last match ever.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, John Cena has to win this match, especially after the way that WrestlePalooza went down with Brock Lesnar and being squashed in 8 minutes. John Cena really has to rally back here and get a convincing win against one of his all-time rivals and one of the all-time greats in AJ Styles. But the thing that I'm most happy about now is that John Cena's here in Perth, in Australia, as a babyface. I saw a family this morning on the flight in. There was 4 kids, all probably under the age of 5 years old, and 2 of them were wearing a John Cena shirt. You can just imagine how heartbreaking it would have been if they came all the way to Perth to see John Cena being a heel, making them cry. So yeah, I'm just grateful that John Cena now is back to being the babyface we all love.
Thank God. And it's going to suck when he loses at Crown Jewel as well, by the way. Moving on, let's get into the Crown Jewel Championships. The champion versus champion matches. We'll start with the women's. Stephanie Vaquer versus Tiffany Stratton.
Well, this is a really interesting match, considering that Tiffany Stratton is undefeated this year. And they keep touching on this stat, and I just feel like they're setting it up for a reason. Stephanie Vaquer, the women's world champion, and she's only been champion now for a few weeks. And, you know, if we stack that up against Tiffany Stratton, who's been champ for pretty much all of this year, on paper, you'd say Tiffany Stratton has to win this match. But I feel like, the momentum that Stephanie Vaquer has at the moment, the meteoric rise that she's on, Stephanie has to win this match, and I feel like it will happen. This will add, so much credibility to Steph if she is to defeat Tiffany, who's been on this undefeated streak all year. But before we get there, there's a match on Smackdown tomorrow night. Stephanie and Tiffany will be teaming up against Julia and Kiana James, and I just need to ask, why the hell are Julia and Kiana James getting involved in this?
It did seem a bit weird. And to answer your question simply, I don't know. I have no idea why they're there.
I feel like everyone in the arena last week on SmackDown had no idea either.
Yeah.
Because you could literally hear a pin drop when Julia and Kiana came out. So
I haven't bought into Julia and Kiana James yet. They haven't done anything for me to go, I'm paying attention.
Look, I think they're great both individually in their own right, but this pairing just doesn't make sense. Like, from a presentation standpoint, like the sexy secretary vibe, being the manager for Julia, who's like an out and out star and can, go blow for blow with anyone in the ring. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So that happens on SmackDown, the tag match. But I feel like the reason why they're doing it, if I had to put my finger on something, I would think that they're including those 2 names into it, because that's how we get Tiffany Stratton's first loss in a PLE. I'm going with Stephanie Vaquer, and I'm going with Julia and Kiana James being the reason.
Yeah, that could happen. But I think, on SmackDown, I feel like, we've said before, if you're on your back in the show before, that means you're going to be on top later on. And I feel like maybe Julia and Kiana get the win on SmackDown, and there's some sort of disagreement between Stephanie and Tiffany leading into their match. And then, I think Julia and Kiana might have some sort of influence at Crown Jewel. So, but yeah, I don't like that they're involved. Not for me. I would have rather just seen, Steph and Tiff just, it's champ versus champ. You don't need anything else for this. Like, I know this match technically doesn't really have any major implications. Yes, they're, competing for this giant diamond ring and a massive championship belt that's sitting in a vault in Saudi Arabia. But, it's champ versus champ. Like, there's a lot of bragging rights on the line here. Why do we need the US champ, like the mid-card champion on SmackDown, being involved in this? Julia should be, putting her title up against someone rather than worrying about the world champion. But anyway, on the match, I'm going to go, as I said, I'm going to go with Steph because she needs this, and it would make, so much sense for Stephanie to win this match against Tiffany and beat that undefeated streak. And it's also a good way for Tiffany to lose and not lose her WWE title. So, I'm going with Stephanie.
And I don't think she loses too much momentum either. I mean, you go 19 wins or something like that? Is that what the record was?
Exactly, yeah.
Something like that. So, I mean, you can't really after one loss from another champion, the other women's champion. That's not really much of a stain. So yeah, I feel that. Let's get into the main event, the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. And I feel like this has been the best built feud or match going into Crown Jewel. And they've just, man, the levels, man, the levels of storytelling in this, it's so smart, and it's not insulting to the people who watch, every week and pay attention to the details. It's super just... it's on, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited for this match.
And they've done a really good job of, touching on this rivalry that they've had for the last few years, and, and the way that they've helped each other out as allies. But, the major point here is the trilogy of matches that they had, culminating in, Cody Rhodes winning that Hell in a Cell match with a torn pectoral muscle, which was pretty gruesome to see when he, took that robe off for the
Still
time.
to this day.
I still don't know how he did it. I'll get the smallest bump and I'll be sore for a week and be complaining about it. I don't know how Cody Rhodes did a match like that with an injury so gruesome, but
cringe even thinking about it.
I just like how they've really found a way to sew this long-term storytelling into this. And the way that Seth's been projecting that he has to defeat Cody Rhodes, as we said, they're not really competing for anything. This is bragging rights here. And, Seth is really desperate to win this one.
Yeah.
He hasn't beat Cody Rhodes yet since Cody Rhodes has returned to the WWE. So,
he hasn't been himself, the last couple of weeks since he, WrestlePalooza. He hasn't been himself.
And he's kind of ostracized himself away from the vision. He's, having these really confronting conversations with Paul Heyman at the moment. And on Raw, we saw that conversation where he said, what happens if I lose? And he, Paul Heyman kind of laughed it off. But Seth was like, no, what happens if I lose? And Paul Heyman looked him straight in the eye, told him how it was. Maybe I have to reconsider.
Yeah.
Why I left the tribal chief, things like that. So, and I love how they're bringing that into it as well. It's not just about Cody and Seth. It's about, Paul Heyman choosing...
bigger implications.
Exactly. Paul Heyman choosing to leave Roman Reigns for Seth Rollins, and, the Vision potentially leaving. I feel like they're putting all these Easter eggs out there and, I guess, foreshadowing what could happen, just as they did with Roman Reigns when Cody Rhodes was, about to take the title off him. He said he'd lose his wise man, which happened. They said he'd lose his bloodline, which happened. So things like this, they're doing this again for Seth Rollins at the moment. They're saying that, he'll lose the Vision, he'll lose the Oracle, which I feel like is going to happen. It's inevitable that all these things will happen soon. Well, maybe not soon, but it will happen eventually.
Yeah.
And I just love how they've told that story.
Yeah, it's been... It's just so good. I don't know how else to describe it, guys. It's so good.
It's cinema.
Yeah, you could say it's cinema. I have been thinking about who I'm predicting to win, but I honestly can't make a decision. So, Tony, I'm going to rely on you. Give us your prediction, and I'll have a better understanding of where I want to go.
I think Seth Rollins wins this match, just based on how desperate he is, and I feel like, we touched on how, Tiffany doesn't lose anything by, losing this match. Cody doesn't lose anything by losing this match. He still has his WWE Undisputed Championship. Seth Rollins, and we've spoken about him the last few weeks, really needs to lift and elevate this title to an equal of the Undisputed Championship, which has been lacking for years now. And, since they've brought back the World Heavyweight Championship, it's been viewed as a workhorse title, but I feel like now they're trying to take it from a workhorse title to an equal plane as the Undisputed Championship. So Seth Rollins should win this match, and I feel like maybe we get some interference from the Vision, but I feel like, and I'm going to put it out there now, my prediction is that Randy Orton is the one who causes Cody Rhodes to lose. So I feel like at Crown Jewel, we see the heel turn from Randy Orton as he delivers an RKO to Cody Rhodes.
I'm not ready for that there. I was thinking not Randy Orton, and I know you're going to hate this, but what I thought was interesting, I mean, going back to, the promos that Cody and Seth were sharing, when Cody was saying, the Brock Lesnar of it all, like you say, you know everything that goes on, right? Like did you have anything to do with that Brock Lesnar stuff? And Seth goes, I know everything. Like everything goes through me. So I think maybe we do get an interference. Yeah, sure. I feel like the Vision for sure, but I don't think we get another one from Randy. I reckon we're getting that guy, lol suit man, if you will.
Do you really think Brock Lesnar's going to fly 20 plus hours for
I'm
that?
not going to argue you on that, but I just someone's telling me that this is happening.
Look, people have done it before. AJ came out last year just to
that's right.
Just to screw. Was it Drew McIntyre? No, it was Randy Orton.
It was Randy Orton.
It was Randy Orton in the Elimination Chamber. So, people have done it before. They've made the trip secretly just to, spoil the party. So, no, it's not out of the question. There's a WWE, anything is possible. But, I just can't see Brock Lesnar.
Might be on that flight right now.
Yeah, I just can't see Brock Lesnar willingly flying this far to do it when he can just find a time to do it in the United States. So, I'm going to stick with Randy Orton being the reason why Cody Rhodes loses. But, I just feel like that will be the holy shit moment coming out of Crown Jewel.
Oh, man, that would be unreal. I mean, either of those options, whether it's Brock or Randy or whatever, being there to see it would be insane.
But just on Randy, like Paul Heyman's been planting the seeds for that turn as well. And
that's why I understand where you're coming from.
And we've seen the way that Randy Orton's been looking at Cody's championship. They've planted the seeds for weeks now, for months.
Yes.
But
I feel like it's too early to pull that trigger. Like, yes, I feel like they're starting to ramp it up and make it a little bit more obvious and blatant, but I don't think we get that done now. I think that happens later. Maybe at a Survivor Series. Or maybe, maybe after Cena's done. Maybe on that same show even.
Well, I was going to say, do you feel like Cody and Randy is maybe a WrestleMania match? Like, how long do we wait for it?
I have, in my mind, penciled it in for WrestleMania next year in Vegas. Cody versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Like, there's just too much history there. And I can only imagine, like, the promos between the two. Like, Randy's a good promo, but when he's a heel, his promo is, untouchable. And Cody Rhodes, we know, he's just... It's second nature to him, he just does it. He just smashes it out. But I have penciled in Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes for WrestleMania 42 Vegas. So that's where I'm thinking. So that's why I'm saying maybe not this weekend, maybe later.
Yeah, so cut that clip up. We'll come back in just over 6 months' time and see if that eventuates. But I'm just glad that we're getting this match between Seth and Cody here in Australia. Like, even leading up to Crown Jewel, I forgot that they were going to have the Crown Jewel Championship up for grabs. So I fully forgot about the champ versus champ, part of it all. So,
same.
But how exciting is it we get to see that match here in Australia? Because last year's Elimination Chamber, like, let's just honestly say, compared to this year and how they've stacked things up, Elimination Chamber last year in Perth just doesn't even compare.
Well, Cody and Seth didn't even wrestle on the card, and now we have a match with them together, face to face. So agreed. It just while Optus Stadium and Elimination Chamber last year was it was awesome. It was a huge stadium, fireworks, all of that good stuff. But this weekend, I just think it's gonna top it.
Yeah, this is like our Super Bowl weekend. Like,
this is my Christmas.
Exactly, this is Christmas. This is almost WrestleMania equivalent for us here in Australia. And Crown Jewel's not the only event that's happening this weekend. As we touched on before, we do have Smackdown in Perth tomorrow night at the RAC Arena, and there's one match here which is very interesting. There is a US title open challenge from Sami Zayn against a mystery opponent. And I feel like everyone's on the same page regarding who they think that will be for Sami Zayn.
If it's not Grayson Waller, we riot. Like, if it's anyone else, I don't want to hear anyone's music. I don't even care if it's The Rock. No, mate. No. We don't want you. We want my boy, Big G. Because, let's talk about what's been going on, the whole New Day of it all.
Man.
That seems to, like, everyone just forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, we saw, Penta have a match, with AJ and Dragon Lee, and then the Judgment Day as well, and, New Day and Big G. It felt like that should have been a spot for them, right? That would make sense.
we were speaking about it every week for probably the last 2 months. Like, what's happening with Grayson Waller and the New Day, and what's this leading to? Because, it looked like this was leading to Perth. And the last 2 weeks, it just seemed like this got scrapped. Nothing's happened. Like, Grayson wasn't on Raw this week, I don't think. Yeah. Nothing happened last week. Grayson wasn't there again. They just said that he was injured due to, copying that springboard Mexican Destroyer the week before. But for New Day, I saw that they were taking off one of the photo ops for this weekend. So maybe the New Day aren't even here in Australia. So maybe, this isn't playing out on Raw for the New Day and Grayson Waller. Maybe this thing has been completely scrapped, which is very disappointing. But if Grayson Waller does answer the call for the Open Challenge here, I feel like this will be a great moment here in Perth. A great pop for Grayson. We saw it last year when he hosted the Grayson Waller Effect on Elimination Chamber. Just the love out there for Grayson. And fan of the pod, Big G. And I'm hoping I think it will be Grayson, and I'm hoping it'll be Grayson. And
if it is Grayson, I just know that match will be
it'll be fine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Sami Zayn, shout out to Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn is really the last couple of weeks with this, Open Challenge for the US Championship has just been carrying the blue brand, carrying SmackDown. So fingers crossed, man. Hopefully we get to post a video of seeing that the pop that BG gets. We're praying that it's BG, but hopefully it is.
But if it isn't Grayson Waller, do you have anyone else who might potentially fill this spot?
Well, initially I had penned CM Punk to be the US Open Challenge, and now we saw what happened on Raw. I don't think that's happening anymore. It seems like it's a Big G move. Who would I, similar level of excitement if it's not Big G? You know what? Give me back Javon Evans, man. Bring back Javon Evans in here, man. We can run that back down in Perth. I'll get down to that.
But like last week, we saw, Carmelo Hayes was, attempting to answer the call for the US Challenge. But, he was thwarted by The Miz, who, hit a skull-crushing finale on him. So maybe it's Melo. Maybe it's The Miz that comes out to open, to challenge.
His birthday as well.
Exactly.
Could work.
And he is out here from what I've heard. He did make the trip. So maybe it's The Miz that takes that challenge, but then Melo comes out and attacks him. That leads to Grayson Waller walking down.
Clip that. Somebody clip that, because he might have cooked.
That might be it.
I'm excited for that one, man. What else we got? So we obviously touched on the tag match, Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie McKay, and Julia and Kiana James. It looks like we've also got a last man standing match. Aleister Black and Damian Priest.
Wow. On SmackDown, this will be an absolute slapper. I don't know what the hell these two are going to do to each other. We've already got an Australian street fight happening at Crown Jewel, but having a last man standing match on a Friday night in Perth.
Get them out. You know what? I can't lie. I am looking at the retractable roof. Get them on the roof.
Get them on the roof. Damian Priest can lay a choke slam off the roof down into the ring, and just looking at it now.
Let's just see if it works. Let's just give it a crack and see what happens.
Looking at the roof right now, there's plenty of opportunity for that to happen.
Yes, we can get it done. Give the fans what they want.
But speaking of this match, they've actually built this up very well. And, they haven't had to, do this through, matches in the ring for this story to be told. Like, they've had these, really good interactions backstage, involving Kit Wilson of all people, which has been hilarious.
Yeah, that's... What's the other guy in that team?
I'm
Pretty deadly.
Mind blank now.
Yeah, I forgot. Is he injured? Like, I'm assuming that's why.
He is, but they're both injured by the looks of it, because Kit Wilson's been in a wheelchair every week and keeps getting kicked out of it. So, but I've loved the way they've built this match up, because I feel like Aleister Black really needed to, find something that really put him up there and make the audience really believe in him as a character. Because presentation wise, he's already there, but I guess he just needed that really juicy story behind him, to really elevate him. Because I feel like since he came back, like the initial pop was great, but he's kind of just been swimming in,
Yeah, definitely. I think he's been
trying
trying to figure out his feet. But I will say, when we were at the Superstore earlier today, his song came on when we were in there, and for a moment I was like,
Banger.
Whose song is this? Whose song is it? And then when it got to like the the main part of it, I was like, man, this is a good song.
Yeah, it's
it's too good a song to be wasted in commercial. You know what I mean?
100%.
So yeah, I mean that'll be a fun one too. And then we've also got a tag team championship.
Speaking of a fun one, the White Six versus the Street Profits.
That could be. I mean,
this could be a weekend. Stealing the show.
Smackdown might steal the weekend
when it's a tag match on a PLE weekend. For the tag team titles, they find a way to just really steal the show.
Yeah, they go for it. Hey,
especially the Street Profits.
I gotta say though, this feels, and this is probably a recurring topic of discussion. This has to be the last time we get a Street Profits match. Like this has been going on way too long.
Do you reckon they split up after this?
They have to, man. Like honestly, they have to because we've had them as heels, we've had them as faces, we've had them as the champs. Now we've had them with Bianca Belair, we've had them with B-Fab. There's nothing else that needs to be done here. And actually, there's only one thing that needs to be done here, and it's for them to split.
They've been teasing it for a while, and I feel like it's going to happen eventually because we need to see Montez Ford as a singles competitor. And speaking of the US title open challenge, Montez Ford, as one of those people to take up that mantle would be amazing. Like that's probably the best way to get him kickstarted as a singles star. But yeah, I feel like with the tag team match tomorrow, I thought the Street Profits might actually win it.
You reckon it's a dub for the Profits?
I think so. I don't feel like the White Six have been doing a lot with the titles. I feel like we've kind of, we spoke about earlier in the year how the tag division was on fire. And I feel like ever since the Wyatts got involved, it's really taken a step or two backwards, and we need to get back to where we were.
I hear it, but I just think that this is it, and I don't need any more. I was looking to see when the last time they held the belts, and they actually lost it to the Wyatt Six not too long ago. So, and I had to look it up because I forgot about it. You know what I mean? Like the whole tag team championship on SmackDown, that side of thing. Like it feels like it was such an amalgamation of all these different teams that I did not know who actually were the champions. But I'm gonna say Wyatt Six win this one here. Street Profits, they split, and there's been a bit of I've been liking what they're doing. We've only seen it once, but Javon Evans, speaking of, and Ray Phoenix, they've been doing 2 matches, or was it 1 match? I can't remember, but. I think that's something that they're building towards.
Well, Ray Phoenix, is he just not allowed to... Is he only allowed to tag with people other than his brother, Penta? Can we just get these two together?
That's a business decision. Penta's he's just too good on his own, and I don't think they're not going to do it, but right now, Penta's just got to do his own thing, man.
As soon as they put the Lucha Brothers together, those guys need to hold on to the tag team titles for 12 months.
That's break glass in case of emergency.
100%.
Yeah.
And, speaking of the tag team division, the tag team division on Raw, can you remember the last time the titles were defended by the Judgment Day?
No.
I think it goes back to June or July. We're now in October.
That's insane if that's true.
What's been going on? That's just an absolute schmozzle. And we said how, when we were talking about how great the SmackDown tag team division was earlier in the year, the Raw tag team division was just floundering back then as well, and it hasn't picked up at all.
But on the flip side of that, I could tell you who the champions are, and maybe not too much, Judgment Day are making their own thing, and they're holding it down, and they're, kind of creating their own path right now. And I honestly did not expect Judgment Day to last this long, first of all. But they're doing a really good job. But yeah, I guess 4 months is kind of crazy to go without a defense.
It's way too long.
That's what the New Day were going on about.
I feel like if you're not defending the titles regularly, you have to vacate them. They're just collecting dust.
There should be some more consistency. I mean, I know Adam Pearce. It feels like that guy hates Monday nights, man. He is always yelling at someone, or blood. His blood is boiling and just throwing people out, getting security involved. I feel bad for that, man. Well, that's probably why he's forgotten about it.
Speaking of consistency from the GMs, when someone gets injured, they find a way to vacate that title, or take it off them, or replace them with someone, in less time than what the Judgment Day has been holding on to these titles without defending them. So, Adam Pearce, if you're listening, consistency, brother, get with the act right now. Come on, we need to defend those titles, and we could have defended those titles here in Perth on Raw. Maybe they
could have.
Maybe they still do. Maybe we see a selfie video of Adam Pearce walking down, Kings Park next to the river here in Perth. Yeah, talking about how there's going to be a tag team title match on Raw.
Not a bad show.
And hopefully that's official. But what we do have on Raw, and speaking of the Judgment Day and Penta, the Intercontinental Championship is on the line. Dirty Dom defending against Penta.
The Brisbane Dirty Dom, man. I'm excited to see that guy. I don't think I've even seen him. He wasn't was he here last year?
He was here, but he was
just as a valet.
Ringside. He was only ringside, yeah.
So I can't wait to see this iteration of Dom, because even just from last year, he's just, just grown so much. I was looking for some Dirty Dom merch, actually, at the Superstore. There was none to be seen.
There.
None to be seen, but hopefully, it is day one here in Perth. But that match, Dom and Penta, and I'm not even going to say anything. I'm excited for it.
Two super over guys, like right now as well. So, I feel like, when we have, Dom's not a typical baby face. He's still viewed as a heel, but we're all, I guess he's an anti-hero at the moment, which we're cheering. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting reception. Like, will the crowd really get behind Dom here in Perth, and maybe not give so much to Penta, because Penta's been getting cheered massively.
I think it'll be 50-50 at best. Like, it'll be a 50-50 split between the crowd, and that's a really good thing. But that is also, I've also just remembered. I was talking about WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. I'm ready for Cody and Randy for the WWE Championship. I have also decided for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I don't know if it's Seth, but let's say Seth and Dirty Dom, where Dirty Dom wins the belt.
Well,
I'm ready
for that to happen. That's just over 6 months, or probably right on 6 months right now. But Dirty Dom would have to lose 2 titles, on the road to that journey.
Minor setback, major comeback, brother. That's what they say, and I reckon he's on for it. And this is just another step, on the path to that journey for Dirty Dom. But
so, are you going with Dom to retain?
Yeah,
here on Monday night.
You don't lose here. No way.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dom holds on to this Intercontinental Championship, and 2 members of the Judgment Day who were very active in the tag team division, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. They've got a match against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and I low-key very excited for this match. These 4 women definitely know how to show out in the ring, and there was this match now set for Monday Night Raw, the tag match, and Bayley and Lyra have been feuding with Roxanne and Raquel over the last few weeks. There was severe beatdown backstage on Raw this week.
Pretty full on.
Oh man, they were getting into them, Bayley and Lyra, and I feel like, when Bayley, first brought this new gimmick in, I was, a little bit hesitant, especially the second week. But I feel like now it's really picking up some steam, in the way that she's, found a way to, I guess, take Lyra along for the ride has worked really well.
Yeah, no, it has panned out really well, and it has in turn gotten me back around Bayley and Lyra. Like, this pairing and this new setting with Bayley it's been really good so far. It's still kind of early doors for it, but I've been enjoying it. I've been paying attention, and yeah, that beatdown was kind of insane. I can't help but think, though, Tony Free, if it weren't for injuries, Roxanne Perez might not be in this match, but maybe someone else, and maybe, do you want to share anything? Maybe are you feeling any type of sadness knowing that Liv Morgan won't be in Perth for this?
Let's just say that's a photo op that I'm going to miss out on this time around. So next year, lock it in.
You're afraid.
But just speaking of the women's tag team division.
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss and Charlotte over on Smackdown, who are holding the tag team championships at the moment. It doesn't look like they've made the trip to Perth. And I must say, I'm officially over this friendship, or whatever we're going to call it, that's happening between these two. I feel like now it's very forced.
It is a little bit.
At the start, when they were chasing the titles, it was really great. But ever since, it's not hitting the same. And the sad part about this, if they're not here in Perth, this really affects Sol Ruka and Zarya, who have been appearing on Smackdown the last 2 weeks. It looked like we're going to get a tag team title match here in Perth, and that might now be off the cards.
That's unfortunate. I am with you though in that it feels like, around SummerSlam was like when we were starting to get like, oh yeah, this is what this dynamic is between Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. And it feels like since then, it's just been on coast and it's just been there and there's been no like development, no growth. And, maybe, I'm assuming it's an injury doesn't help that. Like that's probably why they're not here. But yeah, you gotta give us something more, there's got to be a little bit more development. So, and it's a shame, especially for Zaruka. I every time I see Zarya come out, I always think, I'm like, man, I saw her in Sydney.
Well, speaking of Zarya, I think when WWE was here last year for Elimination Chamber, Zarya, who was going by the name Delta, at that time, she performed on the EPW event that was on that weekend, and that's where she got scouted, and she got signed by the WWE. So, huge opportunity for the other indie wrestlers out here this weekend. With a lot of eyes on Perth at the moment and the people that are in town. So, we know of a few of our friends who are out here, from PWA that are wrestling on that EPW show on Sunday. So, huge opportunity for them. But did you catch NXT Showdown this week?
I saw bits and pieces of it, unfortunately.
Man, Sol Ruka just needs to move up to the main roster.
She's there, right?
They've been teasing this split between Sol Ruka and Zarya on NXT. So, if the tag team title match does not occur, I feel like on NXT, the split needs to happen ASAP, and then we get Sol Ruka on to the main roster. But was there anything else from the week that, really caught your eye?
Man, honestly, I have been only focused on one thing, and that was getting to Perth and being here for this. So my mind, it's almost been tunnel vision. I've just been waiting for this day, and we're finally here. I have forgotten everything else that has happened in the week. Now that we're here, I'm like, I don't know what's happened. Well, is there anything that we've missed?
Well, there's a few big ones. LA Knight and CM Punk teaming up on Monday Night Raw against the Usos, and I feel like LA Knight is being positioned to be next in line for the World Heavyweight Championship. He pinned Jey Uso on Raw by outsmarting CM Punk. And as he said, he's the last man to pin Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't really get his rematch either. I mean, also, he was the one, I would even say that he was the one that was hard done by the most. He was the one that, after that match, that was the match that Seth was apparently injured in, and we never got anything after that. And then now, obviously, we turned out that it was all a ruse, but I think LA Knight deserves its due. I don't know where he gets it, though, but yeah, give him another crack.
Look, I feel like it's coming up, but, someone that deserves their dues after match of the night performance on Monday Night Raw this week, Maxine Dupree, the level of improvement that she has shown since I can't remember the last time we saw her on Monday Night Raw where she was wrestling, but it definitely was not as good as she was this week on Raw.
That's what wrestling is all about, man. It's not so much. That's why it's like the work rate is one thing, and being a technical, master in the ring is like another thing as well. But just being able to like capture the attention of a room and just get their emotions and get them invested into something that they probably weren't even invested in before is my favorite kind of wrestling, and that's what that match was between Maxine.
The audience there for that match were fully invested. They were getting all of the reactions. It was insane.
I had it on the TV and I was doing something else, and then I think I was just in the kitchen or something, and I stopped what I was doing and I sat down for the rest of it. That's how fun that match was.
And the good thing is, like, Maxine has been, she's been posting regularly on Instagram and, on social media of how much she's been training in the dungeon with Natty. She's been, obviously getting a lot better the more that she's been training, and, the improvement just shows. And she gets the win here over Becky Lynch. It's a count-out win. I did laugh at how quickly the ref, Jess Carr, counted the last three.
She knew what she was doing.
Like, Becky was in her face the whole of that match, and, the ref gets the last laugh there, and then we see backstage Becky's just furious.
Filthy.
And she says that she's not coming to Perth. So anyone expecting to see Becky Lynch in Perth this weekend, unfortunately the man will not be here. If her word is to, anything to go by. But yeah, Maxine Dupree, props.
Yeah.
So I'll see you Monday. I'm excited for that photo.
For goodness
and
sakes.
I don't know what's next for Maxine, but yeah, the improvement just continues to,
It's a starting point, and it's exciting to see where it goes next. But while Maxine Dupree, did steal the show on Raw, and maybe even stole the spotlight, we got to give it up to the man Becky Lynch, because I honestly think this current run that we're getting from Becky Lynch, it might be better than the man run, the initial man run that we got in 2019. This run right here, I'm saying it's better, and this is something that I didn't see, for Becky Lynch. I thought that, that was such a high, peak that she reached then, that it was hard to, topple that, but she's done it. And this is we're amidst it now. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
And she's really elevated the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
It's only a new title that's been brought in this year. And, ever since she's picked it up, she's really elevated it. And, she's had matches now with Nikki Bella, AJ Lee, Maxine. So, some of these girls who, Maxine in her case, she's not as experienced as a lot of the other women on the roster. And then, AJ Lee and Nikki Bella, who've been out of action for years now.
Yeah.
And, Becky Lynch, I guess, carrying them through those matches just goes to show Becky Lynch, what an asset she is, really is the man for the job. But, that's pretty much everything that, the main talking points out of the week that was. But, I feel like I have a scoop for the Perth weekend. And it comes in the form of the MFTs. And there was a little promo video package last week from Solo, just, I guess, saying how they're just missing something at the moment. And I feel like, and spoiler alert, so if you don't want to know what's about to happen, just mute this for the next 15 seconds. But we're going to get Tama Tonga here in Perth this weekend. I guarantee he is here. Yeah.
You guarantee that? Did you see him at the airport?
I know he's here.
Damn. You know what? Now I'm sad that I forgot to bring my Tongan flag. I would, he would have loved that. I really could have, really. Maybe I could have been in the bloodline.
Surely one of your sisters has brought a Tongan flag for this weekend.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out tomorrow. But it has been some time since we've seen my dog, Tama Tonga. So I mean, if that does happen and we do get that tomorrow, mate,
huge pop.
You'll be hearing me cheer who on Netflix. Let's just put it like that.
And if anyone's going to climb the roof at RAC Arena, it'll be Tama Tonga.
Can we see? No,
he might be rappelling down from the roof.
I just had a quick look. There's no one on the roof there, so we haven't seen anything yet. But maybe it's something to keep an eye on. But man, that's a big scoop.
Hey, you heard it here first on the Graps and Yaps podcast. So we're going to zip this up when it does happen.
That's it.
Tama Tonga here in Perth. You heard it here first.
Well, man, look, we've gone through the card. We've gone through what's happened in the week. We're here for all the next few days. Like you said, we've got interviews lined up that we're excited to do. We want to come and talk to the fans, talk to you guys outside of the stadium. So we are just look. We are on like 4 hours sleep, mate. We gotta rest up, charge up,
and a time difference. But I think we're behind by about 3 hours. So my body
gotta
clock's
recharge, man.
Body clock's all over the place, but we do have a few spots that we need to hit while we're here in Perth, and. We've got the Netflix Sports Club that'll be open to the public on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
They'll be having a viewing party for Crown Jewel. So anyone that hasn't picked up a ticket yet for that, get down there. That should be fun. They've got the steel chair. They've got a few other games.
A bunch of activities there. Yeah, there's like a ring toss.
I just wonder who they're going to have as the victim for the steel chair.
You would have to say.
They've got Dirty Dom in some locations that I've seen.
Would it be crazy if it was Roman Reigns?
That would be really crazy.
That would be kind of insane, right? But I mean, we are in Australia, and he is going up against our boy, Big Bronson Reed. I don't think we rule it out. We've got that again. You mentioned some local shows. EPW is doing a show that we're gonna have to go check out. We're gonna have to go see that.
Yeah, so that's happening Sunday at 5 p.m. And I think they've got a 20-person Rumble match. There's a triple threat match between Shay Cassidy, Jessica Troy, and I can't think of the third person at the moment, but that's going to be a huge match. The The Dropouts are here in town. Scott Green and the Tuckman.
The Tuckman.
Like, that's exciting. So, I know that they're very excited for that match on Sunday. Considering all these things we've spoken about, with all these eyes that are here at the moment and, the people that are out watching these shows. So, huge opportunity for everyone. All of these indie wrestlers from Australia right now really putting on for what should be a huge weekend here in Perth. But is there any merch that you're keen to buy from the Superstore? I know you've already been down, but there were a few items missing that we thought we'd see. But, if they do roll them out over the weekend, is there anything that you want to pick up?
Look, I might want to add another Yeet t-shirt to my collection, to be honest. Again, I want to get some Dirty Dom merch as well. I really don't know, to be honest. Is there what's caught your eye?
Hey, there was a nice Penta shirt down there. I'm just waiting for them to have my size.
If you get the Penta t-shirt, you have to get the gloves as well.
Oh, I'll do that, and I'll hit the Sierra Mera everywhere. So we'll do that.
And then we can make fun of you, just like the way you made fun of the guy holding the belt.
Oh, well, someone's got to do it.
No, okay, when it's you.
But before we get out of here, we've spoken about, some of these Australians who have matches. One of them, potentially may have a match in Grayson Waller, but who will be the biggest Australian winner of the weekend? Is it going to be Rhea Ripley, Bronson Reed, or Grayson Waller?
Man, it's hard to say because they're, obviously BG, we're predicting a US Open, a challenge match against Sami Zayn. But it hasn't been official. If I had to go off the ones that are official, this might be, last year's Elimination Chamber in Perth was Rhea's show. This might be Bronson Reed's show.
I agree. I feel like that's, and as we said, if Bronson's to defeat Roman Reigns, the greatest champion in at least, this generation for sure. Era. So, the guy who held the Undisputed Championship for over 1,000 days.
Yeah, that's right.
Bronson Reed getting the win over Roman Reigns would definitely set him up to be the biggest Australian winner of the weekend.
Huge.
So, would be great to see the Auszilla, doing that in front of what will be a parochial Australian crowd here in Perth.
Man, I'm salivating at the thought of all the wrestling that we're about to see over the next few days. But we got to get out here. We got to charge up, man. All right. So appreciate if you've watching this clip. If you made it this far, you're a legend. Thank you very much. You probably watched it on the YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're also on Instagram, X, Twitter. X is Twitter, Threads, what's the other one? TikTok. We're on all that good stuff at Graps and Yaps. And man, we'll have a show next week when we come back from Perth. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot to review out of this weekend and digest. So yeah, I'm just keen, as we said, to get out in the city of Perth, take in the sights. It's just great seeing like the signs and everything and the banners along all the streets.
The flags on the street.
Man, like WWE has really taken over Perth this weekend. So, yeah, very excited for what's ahead.
I'll see you guys next week.
See you then.